Today we're going to talk about authentic leadership. Authentic leadership is actually a fairly new concept, and so there's a lot of different theories behind it. There's the intrapersonal perspective, which focuses on what's going on within the leader. So it's knowing themselves, regulating themselves, having a self-concept. And so genuine leadership and leading from conviction and people that are originals and not copies are one example of how Shamir and Elam viewed leadership, authentic leadership, from the intrapersonal perspective. And the interpersonal perspective is the process, and again, it's that relationship and interactions between the leaders and the followers. And then there's the development perspective, and that means that it can be nurtured in a leader. It's not a fixed trait, that people can become authentic leaders, and it develops over their lifetime. It can be triggered from major life events like a severe illness, a new career, etc. And it develops from and is grounded in the leader's positive psychological qualities and strong ethics. But first we'll start with the practical approaches, which are Robert Terry and Bill George. Robert Terry said that authentic leadership is action-centered, and it focuses on the actions of the leader, the leadership team, or organization in situations. And leaders should always strive to do what is right. They should ask these two main questions, which is, what is really going on here? So really finding out what the problem is, and what are we going to do about it? And distinguishing between authentic and inauthentic actions are what authentic leaders have to do, and making sure that they do the authentic actions. And so they need to know what is going on in order to do that, or they're going to possibly make the wrong decision. So Robert Terry made the authentic action wheel, which allows a leader to diagnose a problem on the diagnostic wheel and then select an appropriate response to the problem. In order to locate the problem, the leader will need to assess the employees and their organizational concerns. And then once an appropriate response is identified, then the wheel is used to encourage leaders to explore alternative explanations for the problem and select a response based off of info. So for example, if employees seem to be struggling with issues related to power and who is in control, leaders may wish to pay attention to the mission of the organization and the goals and objectives of the people involved. Similarly, if employees are raising questions about the meaning of a particular program, leaders may want to focus on existence because their concerns may be about the history and identity that undergirds the program. So if you follow, a lot of times when you find the problem, you'll follow the action wheel to figure out what the real problem is and find how to diagnose the solution. Another practical approach is by Bill George, and this one focuses on the characteristics of authentic leaders and how leaders can develop these qualities to become a more authentic leader. And he did this based off of research of 125 leaders and his own personal experience. He found that leaders have genuine desire to serve others, know themselves, and feel free to lead from their values. Authentic leaders demonstrate 5 basic characteristics. They understand their purpose, strong values about the right thing to do. They establish trusting relationships with others. They demonstrate self-discipline and act on values. And they're passionate about their mission and they act from the heart. So this diagram shows the 5 characteristics. So purpose, authentic leaders know what they're about and where they are going. They're inspired and intrinsically motivated about their goals. They're people that truly care about their work because they're passionate about what's going on. And then values, they understand their values and behave toward others based on these values that they have. They have a clear idea of who they are, where they're going, and what the right thing to do is. And this is explained as their true north, which is actually a book that Bill George wrote that's very interesting if you have time to read it ever. And they do not compromise their values. They have strong relationships, so they open themselves up and establish a connection with others, and this involves mutual disclosures between the leader and the follower that develops a sense of trust and closeness between them. And then they have self-discipline. It gives leaders focus and determination to reach their goals. It allows them to remain cool, calm, and consistent even when they face stressful situations, which makes them authentic because their people know what to expect of them. It gives them a sense of security when they know a little bit of predictability about their leader and how they're going to react. And they're also compassionate. They're sensitive to the plight of others, and they open themselves up to others and are willing. Now we're going to talk about the theoretical approach. Wallumbwa and Associates in 2008 said that components of authentic leadership are self-awareness, internalized moral perspective, balanced processing, and relational transparency. And this is made up of positive psychological capacities of the leader, their moral reasoning, and critical life events. And all of these then go into authentic leadership. So self-awareness is the personal insights of the leader. So leaders will have a deep understanding of themselves, their strengths and their weaknesses, and how they impact others. And this involves reflecting on what their core values are, identifying their emotions, their motives, their goals, and accepting who they are on the deepest level. It involves being aware of your feelings and trusting them, and knowing yourself, which will then become an anchor for your decisions and actions. Next is the internalized moral perspective, and it refers to a self-regulatory process where the leader uses their internal moral standards and values to guide their behavior. This means that they don't let outside pressures control them, like group or societal pressures, and it's self-regulating because they have control over the extent to which they allow others to influence them. Leaders are seen as authentic because their actions are consistent with their expressed beliefs and morals. Balanced processing is your self-regulatory behavior, and it's an individual's ability to analyze information objectively and explore other people's opinions before making a decision. So that involves avoiding favoritism and being unbiased, getting viewpoints from others who disagree and fully considering their positions before taking action, and then also being open to different perspectives and considering those people's perspectives as well, and not just being set in a particular perspective of your own. Relational transparency involves being open and honest and presenting one's true self to others. Authentic leaders share their core feelings, their motives, and inclinations toward others in an appropriate manner. They show both positive and negative aspects about themselves to others because they're a real person. And they communicate openly, and it's about being in a real relationship with others because, like I said, in a real relationship, people know positive and negative aspects about each other and are not afraid to share those things. Some factors that influence authentic leadership, there's 4 that are sort of trait-like, but you can also develop them as well. There's confidence, the belief that one has the ability to accomplish a specific task, and they're more likely to be motivated to succeed, be persistent, and welcome challenges. And then there's hope, which is based on willpower and goal planning. And the leader's hope inspires followers to trust them and believe in their goals. Optimism refers to leaders' ability to view situations from a positive light and expect favorable outcomes in the future. So they're positive about what they can accomplish and their capabilities and the outcomes that they can achieve. And these leaders that have optimism approach life with a sense of abundance. And resilience is the capacity to recover from and adjust to adverse situations. It's leaders' ability to bounce back from challenging situations and feel more strengthened and more resourceful as a result. And then a couple other things that affect authentic leadership would be the person's moral reasoning, which is their capacity to make ethical decisions, and higher levels of moral reasoning can actually transcend individual differences and align individuals toward a common goal. Authentic leaders that have high moral reasoning promote justice and achieve what is right for the community. So it does involve being a little bit selfless and working toward the common good. And then critical life events can also impact an authentic leader. And it could be a catalyst for change. They can be a positive or negative event. And Shamir and Elam said authentic leadership is heavily influenced by the insights people attach to their experiences. These experiences basically make people who they are. It allows them to gain a greater self-knowledge, clarity about who they are, and a better understanding of their role. This information came from the book Leadership by Northouse, and it is in the chapter on authentic leadership.